Mike Sabin.
Always a pleasure to follow the member Richard Prosser, who I've only got 5 minutes, Minister. I can't. I don't want to lose too much of it. Sir, I just want to commend Cam Calder for this members' bill, and while there's obviously support across the House for it, I don't think we should underestimate how significant a risk these lasers actually do pose. And if anyone has any doubts about that, it's actually not that hard to pull up some footage in some of the warring nations and the Middle East, and if we have a look, you'll actually see that the people trying to take down aircraft with laser lights, and they're doing it by the hundreds. And so it is actually used in a sense as a weapon of warfare. So while we can sort of jest to some extent about laser pointers that may be used in a classroom or used to, Mr. Les Galloway plays with his cat or something with it, as far as I can be aware there, but we can make light of that. Well, there you go, hours of entertainment with his pussy. So we can make light of that, sir. But the reality is, sir, is that these lasers have been used in an offensive manner. They have been used in a manner in which the lives of New Zealand citizens is actually put at risk. I don't want to get Mr. Les Galloway too excited by that, but clearly it has. Sir, now, it has been discussed that while the Labor Party would be supporting it, it's the Clayton's support where we'll support it, but we'll ask many stern questions at Select Committee. And they raised and it's a valid issue, the issue of whether or not we should measure the strength of the lasers, and it's only an offence if they're over a certain strength. And I think what we could do is we could draw a comparison to the possession of unlawful possession of a knife. So that's a very similar type of offence, in the sense that a knife in itself is not an offensive weapon unless the context in which it is carried or possessed is one in which it has an unlawful intent. And in that offence, sir, it's not a case that the length of the knife is the issue, because if anyone has ever been confronted, as I was as a police officer, a knife that's the length of a finger can do just as much damage as one that's the length of an arm if it's used in the right place, sir. So I would liken the situation in this bill and putting it in the same category, sir. It's not about the scale of the weapon or the calibre of the weapon or the laser in this case, sir. It's about the purpose and the intention for which it's been carried and how it will be used. And I think that is where Mr. Calder intends this conversation to be focused. Dr. Calder, absolutely. Because when all's said and done, sir, most people will have lasers for various reasons, and most of them will be lawful. But it's the rat bags, and Mr. Prosser alluded to the fact that if we could legislate for stupidity, or what was it, Mr. Prosser? I can't quite recall now. Irresponsibility, stupidity, or what have you. Well, this House would be a lot emptier, that's for sure. Sir, if only we could legislate to make people more responsible, but the reality is, sir, legislation only goes so far when it comes to personal responsibility, and what we have to get right is send the right sort of message and create the right boundaries where we don't penalise those who go about life in a lawful purpose, whether it be with a knife or with a laser, but we ensure that those who choose to use them for an unlawful purpose are actually deterred from that and are subject to some sort of criminal sanction or some sort of... does that give me a minute left, sir? I think 1 minute, there we go. So I think when we take this matter forward to Select Committee, as I say, I want to commend Cam Calder, because many a pilot in New Zealand has been subject to this. We've seen it with a police helicopter, we've seen it with rescue helicopters, we've seen it with planes landing at Wellington Airport. And there are some dangerous idiots out there, sir, and this legislation needs to send a very clear message that if you take something that has a lawful purpose and you use it, or if they use it unlawfully, that there will be a consequence, and actually it's time to reflect on that stupidity and sheet it home to the people who are responsible, and the people who are responsible who are those who, as I say, will take a lawful product and use it for an unlawful purpose. Is it happy with that, sir? Happy to sit down. Commend it to the House.
to Moroney.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. And can I just say at the outset in this debate that we're talking about lasers. I just had to get that out of my system, Mr Speaker, because Austin Powers has forever made this difficult to talk about this bill without at least giving an attempt to actually honour the icon that Austin Powers movies has made lasers into. But having got that out of my system now, Mr Speaker, I will of course say that this is a very serious